Hi and welcome along to One Way Football. Yes, I've named this Down to Business because I thought to myself, what is going to be the title for this? Because it's the most random thing ever. Like you're a Newcastle fan with an Arsenal fan on. We're not even facing each other, so it doesn't even matter. It is a bit of a weird one. But I was thinking, down to business. We can talk about transfers because we both have. We're in for the same players.
Yeah.
And I just thought, let's get down to business. Everybody, before we start this video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe if you are new to the channel, and also go over to Rubenstein's channel.
Thank you, mate.
Who is I would say you are a top channel for Newcastle fans.
It's going all right at the minute. I think since the takeover, everyone's getting quite excited. Yeah. So it's going good. It's going good.
And the simple fact that you've actually we've done a video together before.
Yeah.
So that was like, how long ago was that? It was like 2 years ago.
It was, yeah.
It was in lockdown, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
It was in lockdown.
It was a while ago.
God, but you've come over to Gran Canaria.
I have.
Especially for this moment. That's what I want to say to people.
That was why I'm here. Yeah.
It's not what you know, it's who you know. So, look, listen, Newcastle, right? Because there has been this massive hype about Newcastle this season. Yeah. Because of, obviously, like we've talked about it before, the new owners, there's money in there. I mean, I done a video the other day with Edward Nash, and he was like, oh yeah, I wouldn't write Newcastle ending up 6th. I kind of laughed a little bit. I had to laugh because I think everyone's expectations at Newcastle is a bit high.
Yeah.
I do have to say that.
It's a really strange one because you kind of get battered either way. If you come out and go, I think we're going to finish 7th, 6th, 5th, 4th, then people are like, oh, that's too much. If you go, well, you know what, I'll be happy if I get top 10. And then people go, oh well, you should want more than that. So like you can't even really say what you think without it being one or the other. If you don't back yourselves, then you're not backing the team. If you try and be humble, you're like, well, you're the richest owners in the world. You should be doing better than that. So you can't really win. I think we did really well in the January window. We brought in the players. We stayed in the Premier League. We've done a bit of quiet business so far this summer. We haven't really gone out and gone too crazy, which is the same again. Some people are saying, well, you've got the richest owners, why haven't you? And then you've got other people going, oh, well, you're doing it the right way. So it's still a little bit here. We don't really know what's going to happen.
But when we say like the richest owners, right, and this always gets on my nerves a little bit because let's put it straight, right? Every owner of a club is a billionaire.
Well, that's it, yeah. So anyone could with financial fair play, that's the whole point, isn't it? So in theory, you know, anyone.
Are you listening, Chelsea? Are you listening?
Yeah. Well, so in theory, anyone could go out. I mean, we've spent 150 million in 2022. So that's January and the summer so far. Just this summer alone, we've spent 50, which is, you know, half or even a third of what some other teams have spent.
Yeah.
And I'm still hoping that we might have a little flutter before the window ends, but we'll wait and see.
But this player that you was talking about, this Brazilian player, what's his name? I can't pronounce his name.
Lucas Paquetá.
Lucas Paquetá, yeah. So he's a Brazilian, right? And we've actually been linked up with him as well.
You have.
And I can see what Edu's doing there, because I was talking to you about this before, that he's going for this Brazilian vibe, because obviously Edu is a Brazilian anyway. Yeah. So I can see, he's 24, 25, is he?
Yeah,
something like that.
Young.
So he's still young, and he's still like, there's potential there, but I've not really seen much of him to like go, yes, he is a player that we need.
Yeah, I think some of the impressive stuff about him is that even at that age, he's already had 30 plus caps for Brazil. And I mean, that's Brazil, that's a very good international side.
Yeah,
to be breaking into a team with Neymar and whoever else is very good.
But it's like so going to that, right? So I seen a post the other day, and it was everyone's top ballers in the league, right? And then it's Tottenham, Manchester United, City, and then it got to Arsenal, went none. And I'm like, well, hang on a minute, wait. Jesus, right, is the number 9 for Brazil.
Yeah.
So is he not a baller himself if he's a world-class player?
I mean, he certainly started the season well. I mean, the pre-season especially, he was fantastic, and he's got himself a few goals. I think, I'll be honest, when I saw that Jesus was going to Arsenal, I was a little bit unsure.
I think a lot of people were like that though, weren't they? I mean, come on.
It was what I just think.
I was more surprised when he came. I went, no, that's not going to happen.
I think when he was at Man City, he wasn't the favourite, and he wasn't maybe used as much, and they would play with a false 9 rather than playing Jesus, which was just so strange.
Yeah.
So when he went to Arsenal, I kind of thought
he was more like a bench warmer as well at the same time. So, but I'm like that Lucas guy, right? So I don't know where he would fit. Because I know we're out for midfielders anyway, because we can't rely on Xhaka all the time anyway, because he's just a reliability. I mean, he's perfected himself. I would say perfected, but he's made himself a lot more aware, and I think it helps now that he's got Zinchenko can now move forward a little bit more, which gives Xhaka more freely movement.
That's it. I mean? Yeah, so that's the thing. So Paquetá really plays as kind of that 10 more attacking midfielder, and you've already got, as you've said, Xhaka's already pushing forward. You've got Martinelli, you've got Odegaard, you've got Smith Rowe,
Thomas Partey.
Saka. You've got a lot of those kind of players.
So I don't really see us getting him.
It's one of them where I think he's currently valued at around 30 million-ish. So I think for the price of the player, you would be getting a bargain. Yeah. It's just how much is Arsenal trying to make sure they're strong enough so that.
I'd rather get Talisman. Because we've been in for him for so long. I mean, if we're going to go and start getting linked up with other midfielders, go for that midfield that we've been after for that long.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But where would Lucas fit in your team? Where does he need to be?
Well, this is the thing. It's one of them where a lot of the links, in fairness, Bruno Guimaraes, the player that you were also in for in the January, we nicked him. At the last minute, but he's a good friend of his.
Typical Arsenal.
Both came from Lyon, and I think a lot of it is the romantic side of Newcastle fans hoping to see them link up together. And he's been to Newcastle himself. He's seen the Tyne bridges. He's seen the bridges. So it's all good fun. But I think it would generally just be a very good player at a very good price that would improve the side. And as much as at the minute we don't really play with that 10. He has been used at Lyon as a more centre midfield role. He can play out towards the right. Newcastle have just generally struggled with goals. Callum Wilson is obviously a very good striker. We're linked with João Pedro from Watford, which would bring a bit of strength to that position as well. But generally, top goal scorer was Callum Wilson with 8. St. Max got 5. And then after that, it's 1 and 2s. Yeah. So it's almost just, if we're not going to strengthen behind Callum Wilson, we need to bring someone in who will add to the tally. Yeah,
because I was looking on. I was doing my research before this video. Yeah. I needed to do a little bit of research, and then Eddie Howe came out with a comment yesterday saying that we're not being quiet in this window. Yeah. But at the same time, we're not going to further ourselves to be like the big spenders that everyone makes us out that we're going to be. So it's kind of like, are you going to get someone or are you not? It's a bit of a...
Yeah, Eddie Howe's very clever.
Yeah, you love keeping things quiet.
He doesn't say much, to be honest.
No.
I know last week in his press conference, he said he hoped that this would be the big week for transfers. Yeah. And it has been a little bit quieter than I hoped it had been. But there is bids going in for João Pedro. Yeah. And then even in his interview, as you said, yesterday, he was like, we've made no progress. But the news outlets are saying it's been confirmed that Wolves, Watford have rejected a bid. So he's saying nothing's happening, but then there's clearly is.
That's just media though for you. Do you know what I mean? They pipe everything over than what it actually is.
Possibly.
Do you know what I mean? I've just been watching that All or Nothing Arsenal. Yeah. And do you know what? I mean, if the media doesn't start going down on Arteta and his performance and that, I mean, it's just it's all a big hype. Do you know what I mean? Some of the things that they do behind the scenes, I always thought that Arteta was a quiet guy. Yeah. It wasn't speaking to the players, and then watching it, I don't know if you've seen it.
I've seen the first 2 episodes.
Yeah, and he's. It's a bit weird, his techniques, do you know what I mean?
He's quite out there, isn't he? He's great for that kind of series, it's like reality TV stuff.
Yeah. So maybe it's maybe for a camera show, kind of thing. Yeah. But you see the likes of Pep Guardiola, we've seen him before. I mean, he really lays into players, even at half time if they're winning. So maybe that's where he gets it from as well,
possibly.
But Eddie Howe, I'd love to know his background story of how he's doing things, because like you say, he's being very clever with what he's saying.
It's there is it was said that when the takeover went through, that Amazon approached us for an All or Nothing series, which, had that have happened, and we'd went from zero, like bottom of the league, down and out. And then if we'd been able to record that second half of the season, it would have been so good. But I understand why they said no, because really the odds weren't in our favour, and who wants to get recorded getting relegated?
But the thing is as well, if they'd have done it over the period of you getting taken over as well, that kind of transition as well would have been good.
Yeah, it's a kind of, you're right. But in fairness, I doubt they wanted to get involved, because we were just, before the takeover, we were doing nothing. It was just 17th place finish for another year kind of thing. But it's now said that they're approaching us again, and Eddie Howe was actually asked about this in his press conference, and he did his best to not give an answer, but he kind of said that he would rather keep the changing rooms private. But I can see as the club grows and as there's more opportunities for money, and because it's obviously you get paid for the series, but what you're also doing is expanding your global brand.
Exactly.
And as well,
unless you're a Sunderland fan, then we've seen you crying on TV.
That's the only thing.
I bet you loved it watching that.
Yeah, I did. And you know what? I actually enjoyed. Well, I suppose it's Sunderland, so I can laugh. But it was like the Man City one was okay, but it was. They just won every game. Like that's not that exciting. You kind of want to see the highs and the lows, and the. Which is why,
going off record a little bit, I do think though Sunderland might come back to the Premier
this season.
Yeah, I think they are looking quite good, to be fair.
I know did they start off with like 4 draws in a row or something?
Something like that, but I mean, like just the way they're playing, it's a lot better than what they've. I think like having a rivalry in a league anyway makes it a lot more interesting. Anyway,
I would take it. I mean,
I know the banter's there when they go down. Do you know what I mean? And it's the same views and that. Like,
I mean, they'd beaten us quite a few times in a row, to be honest, before they got relegated. So I wasn't really enjoying that very much. So I was quite happy when they did go down. But I feel like a few years have passed now, and because we're now on a new trajectory, you've got to think if they did come up, it would be our turn to beat them. I would take it.
Of course. Going back to like the transfers, what does Newcastle need though? What are you looking for? So you're looking for a midfielder, obviously, because striker. I mean,
I think. Going into the summer window, the big things really were striker and some sort of wide player. Callum Wilson up front is fantastic. I think his average is he scores a goal every 2 games. He scores a goal every 4 shots he has. So he's very clinical. The problem is touch wood, he gets injured for half the season every season. So then you look at it, our replacement, which is Chris Wood. Both of them are 30 years old now. Chris Wood is.
So would you not be looking to get someone a bit younger though? This is what.
So this is
what I actually like about Arsenal, because before I was a bit like, young players in the team, we need that kind of experience now. But we've kind of proven that sometimes having older players isn't all that. Do you know what I mean? Because they think they're better than what they are. The likes of Aubameyang and Lacazette and stuff like that. And when that happened, I was actually quite glad to see them walk out the door. So with Newcastle though. I know you need that, that probably the experience, but maybe in the midfield somewhere, and then get maybe a younger striker.
Yeah, that seems to be the template of the players that we're being linked with. As I say, this João Pedro from Watford, he's only 20. That's Sesko guy who was linked with Manchester United. I think he's got to Leipzig now. Again, he was 23. There's a handful of young players, and Eddie Howe has said a few times that he's got this list, and he was like, this is the list I'm sticking to. I'm not going to deviate. I'm going to try and stick to the plan. And the plan does seem to be bring in someone young and upcoming. Because as I say, as much as Callum Wilson's injury record isn't great, you shouldn't really plan for an injury to happen. Really, we should be using them in stints and trying to let them recover and use them properly, and then still have like a younger player.
What is Newcastle's academy like though? Bringing up players
over the last few years hasn't been too good. We've got the Longstaff brothers came through. Sean Longstaff's just signed a new 3-year deal. He's I would say a squad player. Matty Longstaff looks like he'll probably go out on loan. The newest player to come through is Elliot Anderson, who's 19, had a season in League 2 last year and did really well. And everyone kind of thought, well, is the Prem a bit of a jump? But he's been a part of the pre-season and he's actually looked really good. So one of the big things that we have done under the new ownership is not only by players, we've brought in quite a lot of backroom staff.
Yeah.
We've brought in Dan Ashworth from Brighton, who's the like the sporting director. So he's not just looking at current transfers, but we've started looking at youngsters, and we've actually brought in a couple of. I think we brought a young Scottish centre back from Kilmarnock, possibly for like 300 grand, who's apparently going to be a world beater in a few years' time. So we are planning for the future. Right now, there's not too much there, but I'm hoping it's something we can definitely try and.
I mean, it's nice to see teams bringing in younger players anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I've just seen that United, I don't know if they've signed him yet, that Casemiro, like.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm just like, oh, that's just another shirt seller to me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, they're this team that are like, we're seeing them going down the slope, right? But I've said it for years, the team with, like, Man United are just individuals. They're not there to, like, play as a team.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, your likes of, like, Arsenal, Newcastle, Tottenham, do you know what I mean? There's players in these teams now that want to play for the badge and they want to, like, put a name out for themselves.
Yeah.
And you look at United and it's just like, what is going on there?
Yeah.
What is actually happening? You can't just blame it on the Glazers either, because if it was that easy, we'd all just blame, like, Arsenal have been there with the Cronkies.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Or we just blame the owners, blame the backroom staff. You know, no one actually knows what's actually going on behind the doors.
Yeah.
So I think, like, young players coming into teams, I think that's what people should be looking at. Do you know what I mean? The managers should be looking at.
No, I do agree. I think it's the Casemiro one's it's like 50-50 because he is or has been one of the best defensive midfielders over the last few years. If you know, people are comparing like the Modric, Cruz, Casemiro to the Busquets, Iniesta, Xavi. So I mean, he's been very good. He's won all the Champions Leagues.
I get that,
and they're desperate for a midfielder.
But is he going to still be one of these players that come to the Prem?
But he's already 30.
Yeah,
they're paying him 300 grand.
Yeah,
he's clearly
more than that. I think it's like 354.
So I think a little bit in it is. Here's your 3-4 year deal. That's his last deal, isn't it? That's him moving.
You know for a
to get
fact,
his big, he's getting his big payday, isn't he? So.
And all the club shops and that, you know, his name's going to be everywhere next to Ronaldo and that. And it is just another. Where can we get the money from?
Yeah.
Let's try and get the fans back on our side. Don't get me wrong, he could turn out to be the best midfielder ever.
Well, he's got to be better than bloody McFred, hasn't he? Surely.
McFred, yeah.
You've got to think so.
The thing is, though, I think anyone can be better than that squad at the moment. I mean, if you're playing your captain, Maguire, come on, man. I mean, and I don't understand. This is what I don't understand is what is going through Southgate's head. I mean, he sees these games every day, right? And he still continues to. All right, he does well, actually, to be fair, when he plays for England,
Yeah.
Maguire.
I've lost a little bit of faith in Southgate, to be honest, and that's very, very harsh because we've just had, you know, the two best tournaments we've had in a very, very long time. But I think the one thing that's kind of grinded on me a little bit is that from the very start he said, you know, he's only gonna bring in players on form. You know, I'm not gonna have favourites. I'm not just gonna bring people for the sake of bringing people. And we saw in the most recent England call-ups, we didn't even take a left back.
No.
Because there was other left back options, but he chose to take more right backs, and he chose to take players who really haven't been performing at club level. Maybe that'll change in time for the World Cup, which is at a stupid time in the middle of the season, so that'll be a weird
Crazy
one.
time, isn't it?
Yeah, but
literally, it actually benefits us here because in the winter time we're a bit more quiet over here. So I do think it might draw a little more people out and stuff.
Yeah,
so
that's
you know,
true. No, good.
so I'm actually looking forward to having the World Cup there. The only thing is though, it might cause a few problems for teams in the Premier League with injuries, you know, physicality. Do you know what I mean? It might just like it might. So I do think it's a bit interesting though this season.
It's a different variant on the season, isn't it? Because as well you've got I'm sure we've got, I think maybe at the end of the start of September we've got 3 games in a week pretty much because they are trying to cram all the games in so they've got space for the World Cup. One thing that benefits us a little bit is that at the moment I think we've only got maybe 6 or 7 internationals in the side. So when you guys and Liverpool, Man City, the whole squad's bog off, we've got, you know, good 20 players left with Eddie Howe training over it.
And that's what I'm saying. So it's going to make it interesting, isn't it? I do think we're going to get a few like leapfrogs, like you know, like in the table.
That could benefit us against some of the teams, you know, who lose half the most of the squad for we've all had a month break.
I mean, if your teams like Liverpool, United, that are struggling already, think what they're going to be like after their internationals come back. Do you know what I mean? Like, so But I think we're going to wrap it up there anyway.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming on to the show. You came all this way from England just for this moment.
Thank you for having me.
Just for this moment.
Yes.
30 minutes, right, you can go home now. And yes, and what's your prediction for tomorrow's game?
Well, we're playing Man City, so if I'm honest, the prediction isn't great. I'm going to go 2-1 City. I would love to
Not
see
being
us,
biased then,
yeah,
like,
I mean, they're incredible. I think we lost maybe 4-0 last time we played them, and I remember last time thinking maybe we've got a chance. Defensively, we've been very solid. At the end of last season, the start of this season, but I just think they'll have a bit too much for us.
Yeah.
So I'm going to back them. I mean, if you could offer me a draw now, I would take it.
You
so.
snap your hand off,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, thank you for coming on to the show,
thank you for
mate.
having me.
Guys, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already to One Way Football, and also jump over to Ruben Stein's
Thank
channel
you.
as well and subscribe to that as well. Thank you very much, and we'll see you soon.
One Way Football.